Hello, good evening and welcome to Everything About Football. As you can see, I'm on my own. Jono's not with me today. He's at home with his sick wife. Today's subject is going to be about Manchester United. And it's a reminder to all fans really about what the United way is. The reason I want to do this is because the new manager's come in, Eric Ten Hag, and I just believe that as tough a job as he's going to have, we need to give him time. And I do believe that this fella will take us back to the roots of Manchester United. We all remember Matt Busby, obviously the Munich tragedy, with a young side that was going to conquer Europe. There was no two ways about that. Such a tragedy. But we need to remember what Jimmy Murphy did in rebuilding the team again with youngsters. You know, it's all about bringing in youngsters, and what a job he did. What a job he did. You know, they do say that Matt Busby was the front man, but obviously Jimmy Murphy's name will go down in history because he was the person who looked after the youth, brought them through. You know, United's biggest name ever, Bobby Charlton, just unbelievable what he did. And quite frankly, you know, we all see United today as the Fergie years. Nothing but success all the way. And because of the way things have gone over the last few years, we tend to just keep referring back to Fergie. But let's run through what's gone on at United over the years. I'd go back to 1973, I think. Tommy Docherty was in. He followed on from Franco Farrell, who had taken over really from Busby when Busby came back, you know, because he originally left. Wilf McGuinness came in, was only in a few months, just couldn't deal with the players. Unfortunately, because he's a really nice bloke. Okay, Busby came back in to take control, and then obviously he needed to step down. And in came Franco Farrell. Well, Franco Farrell, again, really nice fella, but really couldn't control those players, you know, your Bests, Laws, Charltons, you know, not so much control, but couldn't deal with them, I don't think. And he was in the same boat as David Moyes, maybe, following on from Fergie, where United had just been success all the way through. And then it was up to him to carry on, and it just didn't happen. So in my time, when I started supporting United, in comes Tommy Doc. Spent a year, saved them from relegation. The following year, he just couldn't. An ageing squad, needed refreshing, and Tommy Docherty did that. Now, you can say what you like about Tommy Docherty. To me, as a youngster, 12-year-old boy, he was a massive hero of mine. He just did things the right way, I think, as much as people didn't like it. You know, he had your old school team, an ageing team of superstars, which he knew he had to replace, and he did that with youngsters. Didn't always do it the right way. Very often lied to players, but he did. He got rid of the team we all loved. One by one, they all went through age and just him needing to replace, really. So it took us to go down to what was the second division at that time and straight back up, but with youngsters. You know, your Gordon Hills, Steve Coppell, you know, he really did rebuild that side. And I think, you know, although we never won the league with him, he gave us excitement, that was for sure. And you got to say that he lied and cheated a lot of the times. He was very disrespectful at times as well to people like Matt Busby. But he did rebuild a side, you know. So you've got to give him, you know, a lot of credit for that. But you have to say that as disrespectful as he was, to certain individuals, he did follow the United way. You know, he rebuilt with youngsters. He messed all that up, as we all know, again with lying and cheating. And we brought in Dave Sexton. Dave Sexton at the time in England was renowned as probably one of the best coaches in the country. He took the side on. It wasn't quite the football that United like to play, the attacking football. It wasn't quite that way. It was a different way. But again, although he didn't win any trophies, he had us up there. And the one season looked clearly like we were going to win the league, and then it just all went wrong towards the end of the season. Now, during that season, I have to say, I was only a kid really, teenager. But when they sacked him, I was devastated. I even got to the stage I can remember standing in a bar as a teenager and saying, I can't follow United anymore, it was disgraceful. But the truth was, Dave Sexton's way wasn't the United way. So then we brought in Ron Atkinson. And Ron was flamboyant and, you know, everything that Dave Sexton wasn't. He brought around this aura with him, where we were going to do great things, and it was great. It was real good thing to have, you know, positivity. And again, Ron, not so much bringing in youngsters, but he brought in your Brian Robson's, club legend, Remy Moses, people like that, and he did refresh the squad. Again, I wouldn't quite say the United way because he didn't pay too much attention to youngsters, but it was flamboyant and it was attacking football, you know, and you've got to give him credit for that. Won a couple of cups. He just brought life to United, you know, bit in the same sort of thing as Doherty did. There was excitement around the club, and we all thought, yeah, you know, we're going to do something special. Now, he had a season where we started the season with 10 straight wins. We were on to win the league. And again, he kind of blew it. And when you hear stories of him being in the training ground and players talking to him while he was on a sunbed, we can kind of understand why players would relax a little, and maybe take things a little bit easier than they should be doing. So that might give an answer as to why we didn't quite complete getting that league title that year. Okay, so then the big one comes, and along comes Fergie, and I have to say, I'd followed him at Aberdeen. I was delighted to see him come in, and the era starts that everybody knows about now, you know, and all United fans, especially the younger ones, we just keep talking about Fergie. But what Fergie did was, he came in, had a few years, obviously, with the club where he wasn't successful. A lot of talk about him getting a sack, but the club stuck with him. And what the club did was allow him to rebuild using youngsters. And obviously, it's well known in history with the class of '92. And he didn't shy away from using them. You know, he played good attacking football. Literally, when he joined the club, he had problems there, a drinking culture, as they say, which he had to sort out. And quite frankly, you know, he went about his job and said, right, I'm not having this, I'm here for United, we've got to do a job for United, and we're going to put it right, and we're going to do it the right way. And Fergie did. You know, the list of names that came through is incredible from youth football at United. So you knew that when you joined the club as a youngster, you had a chance, if you did your stuff, of getting through to the first team. And you've got to look at it and say, all that success was built on his belief on making younger players better. You know, and I think we all know that's the United way. Attacking football, bringing youngsters through. Back then it would have been local youngsters, doesn't matter where they're from these days. You know, if they're good enough as youngsters and they apply themselves properly, you'll get a chance. So what you need to remember as a United fan is during all those years leading up to Fergie, we'd won a few FA Cups, which was nice, but we were never really that close to winning a title. And you've got to look at it and say that for those of us that can remember it, that period of time, 26 years, you know, and that European Cup was the biggie for us, and we desperately wanted it, big time. Today's fans need to understand, for me, that we picked up FA Cups, and as I said, I absolutely loved it. You know, it was a big trophy at the time, and should still be today. But we all look at it today, and it has to be Champions League, it has to be winning the league, Premier League, etc., etc. So those years would have been regarded as lean years, but they were actually quite successful. You know, we were known as a cup team, but we did get success, and we had some bloody good times. Now, what Fergie built, obviously, was just, it's never going to happen again. We all need to accept that. It was almost the impossible job for Moyes to take over. I didn't have a lot of time myself for David Moyes. Thought he did a good job at Everton, but I kind of thought that was his level. And when he made the signings, you know, when he first came in, the likes of Fellaini, that just wasn't good enough for United. You know, did he look at youngsters? Again, not sure that he knew the United way. I think he was determined to do it his way. He got rid of a lot of the coaching staff at the side, and you have to remember that David Moyes took on a team that had just won the league. So you can understand his failure, but at the same time, we didn't give him time. So as much as I didn't really click with David Moyes, I do feel for him. I don't think he got that support. When he moved on, in come Van Gaal, massive reputation from all around Europe. He'd done it everywhere, really. And he was different. And you've got to say that whether he meant to or not, he kind of understood the United way of bringing in youngsters. And in comes the likes of Rashford. You know, and I do believe myself that I remember an interview where Rashford started playing in the first team and played out wide a lot. And I remember a conversation with Van Gaal where he told him to play between the lines of the penalty box. And that's when Rashford started getting his goals. You know, but as soon as Van Gaal had gone, Rashford has drifted back out again. But you've got to say that although we were never in a title race with him, you know, again, it wasn't the greatest football, but it was attacking football. And he did involve youngsters. We then looked at Jose Mourinho. What a reputation he had. You know, and I'm going to sit here and tell you that I was rubbing my hands waiting for Mourinho. When he took the job, I thought, yes, you know, we're in here. But Mourinho didn't know the United way. He just completely blanked youngsters. He had no interest in youngsters whatsoever, bringing them through. It needed to be the big names. Just, you look at it, and when things were going well for Mourinho, smiles were on faces. But he made that club such a disorientated club, really. You know, again, I remember an interview with Pogba where he said when he was in the first team playing, he was Mourinho's best friend. But as soon as he picked up an injury and was out the side, it was like Mourinho just didn't want to know him. It's not the United way. United way is by looking after players, taking care of players, especially special ones, you know, and keeping the youngsters happy. He was successful. He was successful. You can't argue with that. A League Cup, everybody laughs at that, but the League Cup's a League Cup. You know, it's still 90,000 people at Wembley to see that final. It's one of only 3 trophies in England to win, and he won it. You know, so for me, that's success. He then took us through to the Europa League final, which we've won. Delighted with that. I was as happy with that as winning the Champions League, to be quite frank with you. Just a brilliant thing to win again, another European trophy. Only one of 2 at the time, really, for any teams to be able to win. So again, massive achievement, but I wasn't quite sure. It wasn't quite the United way. After Jose, obviously the club had to do something because things had got so bad. It had just deteriorated. The mood around the club was terrible. Decisions were split between people. You know, do you like him? Do you not like him? And obviously, we can't all like everybody, can we? Let's be fair about it. But I kept wanting him to do really well, but it just didn't feel the right or United way. The board did, in my opinion, the right thing, brought in Ollie. Now for me, that was a massive, massive boost. We all saw him as a hero. We all wanted him to do well, and we all got right behind him. And you have to say that although he didn't win anything, he really, really did give it a good go, in my opinion. You know, the amount of semi-finals, the wins over City, you know, and up until that Europa League final, where we should have done better in the final, to be fair. Solskjaer had done absolutely fantastic. What a turnaround when you look back and think how bad the atmosphere around that club was when he walked through the door. And it was like a breath of fresh air. It really was like a breath of fresh air. And I kind of felt that he brought the United way back. Started bringing in a few youngsters, gelling those with the more experienced players. And the football was starting to be more fun again. More fun again. And I genuinely believed that if Solskjaer had stayed in the job, he'd have still took us that step forward. I know he was lacking in things. He didn't seem to know when to make a change in a game, change the game tactically. And he was too protective, I think, of players. You know, but up until the Europa League final, he clearly had the support of those players. And we lost it, and it just seemed like everybody just walked away from him. It was like, did they want to play for Solskjaer? You can sit there and say, well, maybe they didn't want to play for Solskjaer, but did they want to play for the club and the fans? You know, they just don't seem to have put in the effort since that final. It was a sad day for me when Ollie had to go. And the only reason I thought it was the right thing for him to go was because of his press conferences. It was always protecting players. When at times you need to say, look, you know, he's not doing great. You know, you need to leave players out when they're not doing great, and sometimes he just didn't. So you're hoping that if he's going to have to go, that there's going to be a massive improvement from whoever comes in. And I guess it was a difficult decision for the board to bring in a temporary manager. I like the idea of Ralph Rangnick staying on as a consultant. And I think he had an impossible job. He really did have an impossible job to do. There was no way that he was going to walk in and all of a sudden the players were going to play for him. You know, a lot of them were ready to leave. The dressing room sounded like it was completely split. You know, he had to take on the brunt, I guess, of the Ronaldo situation where we had players who were apparently unhappy that Ronaldo had signed. I mean, what a joke that is. You know, I don't know what kind of a world we live in today. You know, we all want instant success. We all, I don't know what we want. You know, it's just not right. But Ralph did start to bring in youngsters. You know, and the shining light for me at the Ralph Rangnick period is Elanga. I just think what an amazing player that he is already, and he's going to be something special that United need to look after. And the reason I've done this video today is because Erik ten Hag's come in. I've seen his press conferences. I've kind of researched up on him as well, and I already love him. I think he handles the press really well. But again, it's not about the press, it's about the football. And he does play attacking football, insists on it. He insists on a lot of crosses going into the box. If that's the case and we can get it happening, then Ronaldo's onto a winner. And he believes in youngsters, you know, and I just kind of think to myself, right, that's the United way. That's the United way. So we need to give him time. You know, it's not going to be easy. It's going to take maybe four seasons. I know he has to hit the ground running, but top four would be a success, I think, for him. The transfer window hasn't opened yet, but clubs are pre-signing players and everybody seems to be doing their business. But we're just hearing rumour from United. Is that because we're not rushing into things? Is that because we're trying to get the players that Ten Hag wants? And is that because other clubs are just getting in before us? I really don't know. I'm hopeful that all United fans will stand by it. Remember the United way, and it isn't about bringing in superstars. So bear with the transfer market. I think we're going to hear names maybe coming to United that are not the biggest of names. It's about building teams. It's about building teams, and Erik ten Hag does that. He builds teams. He builds attacking teams, and he builds teams that work together, and they really do work their asses off together. Whether he can get the bunch that's currently at United to do that, I don't know. I really don't know. I think he's the type of boss that we need. He certainly seems to have a bit of bite about him where players are concerned. It's his way or on your bike. I do think he's respectful to long-established players. There's been, you know, chat between him and Ronaldo where they've both shown each other a lot of respect, and that's how it should be. But at the same time, players need to give him a go, follow what he wants to do, or go. What the fans need to do is to stick with him. Even if it starts off badly, we've got to stick with him. We've got to give the guy a chance. Remember, we gave Fergie a chance, and it worked. We didn't give Moyes a chance. We didn't really give Van Gaal a chance. And maybe to a degree, we didn't give Mourinho a chance either. You know, we go back even further, and I talked about Franco Farrell. taking over from Busby. It was no different to Moyes taking over with Fergie. Did we really give him a chance, or were we worried that, you know, it was going to take too long, or did we expect instant success with him? It was never going to happen. You know, players like Bestie, Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, you know, Carrera and that, they were used to Matt Busby. So when somebody new comes in, they were just not going to take to him. But today's situation with Erik ten Hag is a little bit different. He's not coming in straight after Fergie. He's coming in after several people who give it a go and haven't managed to do very much at all. You know, I think the FA Cup win with Van Gaal, with Jose Mourinho's couple of trophies, I still think that the most exciting time since Fergie went was under Ollie. And we got rid of him because there were some bad results. You know, it was a disaster with Liverpool, and we can't have that. I understand that. But when you're rebuilding, these results are going to come. These results are going to come along. You know, I just think that history has proven that if we stick with the right manager, and I do believe that Ten Hag's the right manager, we'll get success. It's not a thing for United fans to walk away when things are going badly, but we did start to last season. There's no greater pleasure than following the club that's winning everything. But I can remember going back when Liverpool had their lean period for many, many years, talking to fans of my age who knew nothing but success. And they were saying to me that it was better during the lean times because when they went to Anfield, they never knew what they were going to get. Whereas when you win, you do. You become numb to it. And you go expecting to win, you know, and maybe the volume in the ground drops a little bit because we just expect to win. This coming season, we need to back in Erik ten Hag at 100%. Old Trafford needs to be louder than it's ever been, to show him that support. And it needs to stay at that level. I've got friends that don't go to home games. They only go to away games because the atmosphere is better. We have to make Old Trafford the loudest stadium in the country. It's the biggest ground. We've got the most fans. It needs to be the loudest. I really, really wanted to get across today the United way of bringing in youngsters, giving people chances, and that's giving a manager a chance as well. I say that because when you look through the list of names, you know, Doherty was given a chance. He done really well. You know, he excited us. Brought in young players, excited us. Won a trophy, you know, it was exciting. But he fucked up. He messed up and had to go. Dave Sexton came in, not too bothered about the youngsters, you know, let's make ourselves solid, that kind of thing. Didn't do anything. Or Atkinson comes in, flamboyant, again, not too interested in youngsters, although he did bring in Norman Whiteside, to be fair. Won a couple of cups, but wasn't really the United way. And then comes Fergie. And at that stage, I think the United board were where we're at today. We're thinking, look, you know, we keep changing manager. We're never going to get a Busby. We have to give this guy a chance. And they did. And as he sorted through all the problems and what have you that were there at the club, and started bringing in youngsters to play the way that he wanted to play, we started getting success. And it was massive. When we won the Cup Winners' Cup in Europe, for those of you that don't know, are too young to remember, that was a European trophy that you entered if you won the FA Cup. And it was a case of you played against all the cup winning sides from around Europe. And we beat Barcelona in that magnificent final. What a final that was. And that's where we took off. That's where we took off from. So you've got to look at things and say, look, give people a chance. Give people a chance. I held my hands up, as I said earlier, and I wasn't sure about Moyes, but he didn't really get a chance. And my big concern with Moyes is that if Fellaini was the best he could attract in a transfer market at Manchester United, then we were on a slope downwards. Van Gaal came in, as I said, he didn't really like Forest for me, but he was funny. He was funny. He did give us all a good laugh. But was he given enough time? Not so sure. Not so sure. We all know about Mourinho, and there's no question about it. The spirit of the club had completely gone by the time he'd left. I had no interest in youngsters, no interest in anyone who wasn't fit to play, to be quite frank. And the spirit, everything had gone. Ollie came in, it was almost instant. It was like somebody lit a light and said, hey, United are here, we're back. We're back, we've got that spirit back. We're going to play attacking football. And I genuinely think, a lot of you won't agree with me, if he'd have stayed on, he'd have learned. You know, he was on a learning curve as a manager. And I think he would have learned. And I do believe that he'd have given us success. But hell, you know, he's gone. Ralph's gone now as well, not even as a consultant, which I kind of understand. It's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. I thought it was a great appointment in the sense he was coming in to sort the whole club out. But Erik ten Hag, when he's approached by United, he's obviously quite clearly made it clear that he wants to do things his way, and I love that. I love that. I want to see him build from youth upwards, and I want him to see him exciting us again. And I genuinely, honestly think we're going to get that. So for all the people, all the United fans that are out there that only know the success of Fergie, even if they weren't alive then, it's still there. Everybody knows about the success that Fergie had. Those younger people won't remember the times with Busby, Doherty, Atkinson. All they'll know is Fergie era. And that success. But we have to remember that there's been lean times at the club. And for me, I'm doing this today, speaking on my own while Jono's, I don't know what he's doing to look after his wife, she's not very well. But while he's there, it gave me a chance to talk to United, or talk about United without any Evertonian sitting next to me interrupting. As United fans, let's stick together. Stick together. Give Ten Hag a real good start in his managerial career, even if we're losing. Let's back him to the hill. Let's see where we go with him in maybe 4 or 5 years' time. I honestly believe that the Guardiola era is going to come to an end. He's done fantastic on the City, but it's going to come to an end. Clippity Clop over at Scousland there. Again, you can't knock what he's done, but is it going to last? You know, let's see with the players that he's bringing in to replace others, if that's going to work the same way. The great thing that Fergie had was he could always rebuild teams. Let's see if Jurgen Klopp can do that. Guardiola, as I said, everybody would have him as manager, wouldn't they? But his time's got to come to an end. And I think it's perfect timing for Ten Hag to come in, build what he needs to build, and then wallop, he's in there. You know, there's a great chance if we all stick together as United fans, support the manager, get the board to support him, let him make his signings, whether we like them or not. You know, let's stick with it because it's great timing. It's great timing. It might not happen next season. Well, it's not going to happen next season. But it could happen in time. And I see that time coming when we put Liverpool back into their beds. Keep them bloody quiet. Let's get that noise level down from over the road. And let's follow United like we should, like we've always done, until we get us back to the top. Lot more to say, really. It is a genuine plea. I want to see good football from United. That will only come with a manager in charge who knows what he wants and what he's going to do. And I think Eric's the bloke for doing it. So, thank you for watching. I might have bored you a little bit senseless, but it is about remembering the United way. We'll be back again, myself and Jono, with a new subject very soon. Enjoy your holidays. Get ready for the new season because I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very entertaining, very interesting. And as I said, remember, stick with it. Support the United way. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe. Cheers for now.